This meeting is called to order at 6 p.m. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Town of Cedar Lake Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for October 2022. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Wilkening?
Here.
Mr. Kapora?
Present.
Mr. Bungie?
Present.
Mr. Kupido?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Salatas?
Present.
Ms. Evanesi, present.
All right, thank you. Regarding the minutes from September 8th, 2022, do we have any additions, corrections, or do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Second. A motion by Mr. Kapora, seconded by Mr. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes.
Mr. Kupido?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Old business, item number 1, Cannon 7519 Lakeshore Drive Developmental Variance. Owner petitioner Demetrio Cannon, 7519 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana, the property being in the vicinity of the same. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct an addition on the home with an overall height of 28 feet. This was deferred from last month's meeting. Mr. Austin?
It appears we had the review of the legals last month, and they were in order then.
Okay.
So the matter, if in fact it has been open, may continue.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. We have a petition for the item. Please state your name and address for the record.
Demetrio Cannon, 7519 Lakeshore Drive, here in Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Okay, you requested a month, and do we have anything new from last month?
Yes, so we tried multiple sketches and everything that's been determined. Without that height, I will not be able to house the HVAC ducts in the ceiling, and if we were to lower it, then that would leave us with exposed ductwork, which would be a hazard to my family, and also it's not very feasible, actually. It just wouldn't work.
Okay.
The ceiling's being that low, and then having the ductwork and stuff, it wouldn't be cold, and also be a health hazard. So we're asking for that height, so that way we can raise those ceilings and the walls to house that ductwork and also cover it, so there's no health hazards to my family, and also it's covered.
Okay. All right, so the plan remains the same then, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Salatas, do you have anything to add?
No, I believe, actually, was there a letter received, or the findings of facts been included?
The findings of fact was sent to me before the filing deadline for the Friday noon cutoff, and it is page 2 under his petition.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, I was able to find out some other questions that you guys had asked last month in regards to height.
I see you've answered all the questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My question I have for anybody that can answer this is, the zoning ordinance that was adopted this year allowed for this new legacy lot overlay district, which is more forgiving overall than our R2. Give these properties an opportunity to be built on without the need for variances. Are we ever going to be able to build it at 25 foot or under with this zoning district, or what's going on here? I mean, this is just kind of odd to me. I've heard last month that it was your architect, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that this wasn't doable with the 25-foot height, so are we gonna have a problem from here on out with limiting houses to 25 feet here?
This particular design is not doable at 25 feet. Basically, for some reasons he stated, if you're gonna keep the HVAC up in the attic area, then you drop it, you've got a problem. But you can build a two-story house for 25 feet or under.
Okay.
You know, it's just designing a house that he wants. It's creating a problem
Okay.
with the height.
So it's our job to determine whether that is sufficient to grant a variance based off of.
May I say something?
Yes, sir.
We were able to get it down to 26.5 feet, redesigning it to have that adequate pitch that you need for the roof. I'm not an architect nor a builder, so I can't speak technical terms, but we were able to get it down to 26.5 feet. But that was the lowest with the way the pitch of the roof, no matter what type of roof you want to throw on that house, would allow you. I can't speak to that, like I said, I'm not an expert.
Well, I would like to have seen that presented to us tonight.
All I have is just this sketch here of what she showed, 26.5 feet. But I don't have any technical data on that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
John's point is well made, and I just come through the town's file here, and we don't have anything additional other than the verbal testimony here tonight that supports either 28 or 26.5 or whatever.
Okay.
The town's record is without that. That's all I'm saying. It might not exist, it might be somewhere, but we don't have it.
Okay, so this is new information tonight.
Very carefully.
That was not anything I received.
Okay.
It's not uncommon to have somebody ask for less after all this discussion.
True.
And if he's granted what he's asking for, he's got to stick to it, whether it works or not. So new or old, he certainly doesn't have any, the house next to him will look like a monstrosity compared to his.
I do have those heights in those houses, so you guys.
No, they're on here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're on here.
They're part of your findings,
Findings of fact.
statement.
Yeah. I guess it's all about the hardship,
That's
because he has everything else, I think, answered quite satisfactory here. Interior design, Colorado Industrial, I think it was called.
Yeah, Colorado Industrial.
Okay. Sir, please have a seat. We're going to open the floor up for remonstrance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any remonstrators here for or against this variance? Anyone here for or against the variance? Abernathy, did you have anything online submitted?
Nothing, no one online and nothing submitted.
Okay, all right, thank you. Public portion is now closed. Mr. Cannon, please step back up. So, yeah, it all everything reverts back to item number 3 of the findings of fact to me. If this is a result of the design of your house, I don't know well, we are opening up a can of worms, frankly, to allow our rules to be broken just because somebody wants a certain design.
I did try to, even if I were to do this, take that little peak off or whatever the case may be and try to bring that roof line down a little bit, that would shrink the walls from 8 feet to 7 feet, and then I wouldn't be able to put the ductwork in the ceiling at all. It wouldn't work measuring the height. I just wouldn't have the height, period.
Okay.
It's not, I mean, I would, even if I put a flat roof and went to 25, I still have those walls that are the same height. They don't change.
So,
The ductwork's still going to be exposed.
okay,
If I can have it at all.
okay. So changing the design has never been anything that you or your architect would
We
consider?
tried multiple, but it was, I mean, even if we did like cut off that little peak there, and we said we just had your typical whatever, the height would be close there, and I wouldn't have the height that I need to install.
He doesn't mean the design of that particular house, he means choose a different style
Yeah,
house.
right.
That's what he's talking about, not trying to make this fit down to the 25 feet. he's asking,
Oh, no,
did
no.
you consider a different style house?
Yes, that's what I just mentioned. I said if we take this part off and just made your traditional A-frame style house, whatever, if you just had your traditional peak and just cut that off right there, I still wouldn't have the height that I needed because the walls would be too short. I would still have exposed ductwork because we're measuring from the road 25, so I still don't have the height. I'm being told, like I said, I'm not an architect or anything.
Yeah, I understand, yeah. Okay.
So no matter what I do, and we tried for a whole month.
Then it goes back to, I mean, when will this zoning ordinance work for people? Is the house too wide and that's not allowing them to be able to have the pitch you need? So what's going on here? I want to make sure we don't have this problem again in the future. Because this stuff was just vetted a few months ago, this new zoning ordinance.
What's the square footage of this lot? House and everything.
How big is your lot, sir?
Less than 5,000 square, I think it's like 4,000 something, and then the actual inside of the house is, with the additional be 2,100 square feet. So.
Is that total living space
total,
upper
yeah,
and lower?
Yeah, so it's not much, I only have 2 bedrooms right now. I have a kid on the way and already one, so I don't have room.
I feel for you.
Oh, no,
I got a
yeah,
third-
no,
I got a third on
that's kind of
my
like
way
a city, I'm just trying to state the facts to, I mean, I'm trying to, adapt to this and it's, quite difficult.
Yeah. Jeff, I know you've got some thoughts over there. Huh?
Well, I mean, I'm in both the things that you and John both said with, this is a brand new, where the, addition to our ordinance where the ink is barely dry. And if the reason for these changes was to make our job easier and streamline the process where we wouldn't need as many variances, then, this kind of flies in the face of that, and that's where I have a real problem. And I also have to agree with John in that, I understand that this is the look that you want, and it's a spectacular look, but is that necessarily a reason for, for a findings of fact, check mark is justified? I have a problem with that.
Do you have anything else for us, Ms. Abernathy?
I was not provided any of the information he's talked about. I know that when because they extensively vetted the legacy law, I remember sitting in here for probably an hour listening to the discussion on legacy law and height requirements. And they wanted to keep it low to help reduce vision problems and blocking lake views. And it was, one of the key points talked about was, are we going to be restricting anything with the 25 feet height? And it was determined that this is what they wanted. So, if it is not doable, I have not been provided any technical information regarding that. All I was given was this finding of fact form that is saying that the HVAC would not be able to fit if they reduce it to the 25 feet height.
Okay.
For the height or restricting people's view, if we can look at now, the only person that sits directly to the north of me is Mike, and he faces 8 o'clock, so I wouldn't be obstructing anyone's view but trees. And the distance between myself and to the west, Marshall's house, is 32 feet, and then from the proposed addition east to John's house would still be 27 feet, so you still have sufficient sight lines in between and see the lake. And I wouldn't be blocking anyone's view at all if I went up. There's just trees directly behind me, and Mike's house, who's directly across the street from me.
So the house across the street?
He faces 8 o'clock, correct, yes.
There's also a giant hill behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no one behind me.
I totally understand that. I try to be principled.
Sorry.
I try to be principled when I make these decisions, And you kinda have to because of the findings of fact, legally, correct? So, I'm just having a hard time nothing here, unfortunately, for you has proven to me that this has to be granted, should be granted, because even going back to last month, your architect was saying with this design, you know, we need, in order to have this design for it to be appealing, you need to have this height. Well, I don't know if that passes the test, Mr. Austin, a design.
Oh, no, I'll throw away the design. I mean, I'm just talking about the general house with the height. Even if I took that away, I would still have those short walls. Even if I built it like Mr. John was saying here, I wouldn't have the height that I need. So even if I took that little design peak away, I don't have the height from the road.
But you're talking about on this house.
No, any, for the peak.
Well, I did some homework, I researched it, and you can build a two-story house anywhere from 16 to 25 feet
Okay,
in height. That,
with,
Google it.
I
Yeah.
believe you. I
You
totally
know,
believe you. But-
And as far as dropping that roof down, you could drop it down, make it flat, and put a single-ply roof on it, or you can put a metal roof on it. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do.
But if you put I was told if you put a flat roof on there, but living up here, then you run into issues with weight of snow and all that stuff. You don't wanna do that.
Say that again?
If you put a flat roof on that, then I have to worry about weight of snow and all that stuff.
No, you don't, because your architect will build a dead load on it.
Okay.
If she doesn't put you in a dead load, take that into consideration, you need another architect.
Okay. So, you're suggesting.
I'm just saying, there's ways around it, but you are not showing us any difficulty that you're gonna encounter other than, this is what I want.
Well, I would believe it'd be the HVAC, sir. I wouldn't, without that height, I couldn't put in my HVAC. I'd have exposed HVAC if I could have any in the ceilings at all. But I would imagine that would be a complete hardship.
I think there's a mixture of things here. You know, it's a legacy lot, number one. He's not bothering anybody around him. His hardship is kind of inside, and it does have to do with the design of the house. However, you can only make it so wide, because his lot's only so big. And that 25 feet, we knew was gonna have some snafus to it.
Right.
And personally, I'd rather see this roof than the last person, or the last two people who took a shot at staying under the height and, you know, have a flat roof that's just got a 412 pitch on it.
Can't you put the HVAC in the walls?
I was told for the returns or whatever the case may be, you could, but you won't have height, and then it'd be exposed, and then that'd be a health hazard, so.
Soffits, boxing stuff in.
It would have to be exposed to the soffits with the way so you throw in that soffit there, drop it down even lower now that 8-foot ceiling, now you're almost, 6.5, if that.
Because you can run your ductwork in between your studs in your walls,
Yeah,
and that would take away some of that overhead stuff you're talking about.
yeah, some of it.
What, just out of curiosity, I know you're in compliance with these plans, but what's the side yard setback for this home?
Well, one's less than 3 feet.
I think one of them's 5.5, 5.5 feet here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a topographical survey, so I can keep that.
2.9 on one side and 5.2 on the other.
That zoning ordinance, I know when it was discussed a while ago, before it was adopted, wasn't there, I don't know if it got adopted, wasn't there an aggregate side yard amount that had to be maintained
5 foot.
for both side yards combined?
5 foot per side yard, as long as the non-conformance is not being increased. So with it, his existing side yard on the 2 foot is already existing. He's allowed to go up to 5 foot on the other side and maintaining compliance with the legacy lot
Okay.
ordinance.
That was something that was discussed, Ms. Abernathy, and I'm guessing it wasn't adopted then?
No.
No, okay.
I think that was referring to vacant lots too.
That might have been the initial discussion, but that's not what was adopted.
Okay.
For a residential legacy lot that is occupied, it has to have a minimum interior side yard setback of 5 feet.
Okay.
There was a discussion of having a total, that way you could look at having like X amount on that side and X amount on that side to allow for emergency vehicles to go through. That was what got put in.
So as long as you're not increasing the non-compliance, you could maintain the side yard that's there?
Correct.
Okay.
From the looks of the pictures, he'd be giving up the ability to drive down next to the house. We made it any wider.
Yeah, you would only be able to expand east by half a foot.
Okay.
Give or take, it's 0.52.
I know the hardships on the inside of the house, but I just try to compare what's around it and what it's gonna look like. And, the neighbor's house is more than 37 feet, 38 feet.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, my stance has not changed on this. If it can be done, then it can be done. If it's a matter of the design of the home, the architectural design, I don't think that's wise to be granting variances based off of something like that, because where do we end with it then?
So I agree with that.
You can also conclude, we need to do this once in a while here in town, that lots and properties are of insufficient size, insufficient characteristics to safely, properly, orderly build improvements on them. I know that's a hard thing, and at the very tail end of your dialogue, I'm introducing it only because that ought to be one of your considerations. Is this right for here in Cedar Lake based on its characteristics? That's a hard call. That's why you guys get the big money, I know. But that is sometimes.
I'm retired to take this job.
I heard that. So that, sometimes it just doesn't happen often, happens in this town more than a lot of other places, given our unique.
So you're saying due to the characteristics of the house, it could be feasible for us to grant it?
It's in your jurisdiction, and it's fully within your discretion to define that if you think it's appropriate. Right now, what's proposed doesn't meet the ordinance. So you have to grant relief for a 26.5 foot or 27 foot or 28 foot, but you don't have to either, just because characteristics say so.
From the street around town, it's hard to see. But from the water, I'm not sure we could get any more diversification of characteristics. We have one of everything.
Yeah, you're right. I understand exactly what you're saying, Mr. Oshie, because I've seen it here on my time on the board as the demand grows in town for people to move here, build here, you're seeing some areas being built that you would have never thought that somebody would want to put a home there, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
This town has a lot of legacy lots and unique characteristics that come with an 800-acre odd-shaped lake, and the attraction to move nearby it will continue to facilitate this unique character of the community.
And then think about some of the applications we've seen in the last year or two. We have one on the west side of town, or north side of town on the lake, 20 feet wide of building lot. 20 feet wide. Holy smokes.
Right next to Bartlett Walford.
Oh, yeah, it's down there. Up Lakeshore Drive. I mean, everybody up here has been here long enough to know what I'm saying.
I know he's asking for 1.5 foot, but this is, we're gonna start seeing more of these things. And I know the 25 feet, I get it.
But are we gonna be here every time though, you know, going over every house, and I can't do 25 feet, that's the
We
thing.
have corner lot and fences.
Right. I mean, that's kind of where I'm hung up, I mean, I don't know how, I mean, what's the rule if we're gonna move it every time, I don't, you know.
Well, these legacy lots aren't, the side yards are so small. Like this one up here, this burgundy one with that semi-flat roof on it, the 3 stories. Not too far from where, there's a burgundy pontoon boat parked.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fit there, it'll never fit there
No.
aesthetically. This is even smaller than the guy next door by how many feet?
I understand, I totally understand what you're saying there, Jerry, but, it just, I'm so hung up on the fact that the town, the plan commission, the town council went through this to give relief to the homeowners, property owners, and as Jeff said, to make our lives easier, but also to make their lives easier, and now we're going down this road again where it's not working. And either this can fit with a differently designed house, or our zoning ordinance is messed up and needs to be changed already. I'd have to say it's the former, but those are questions that have to be asked, because I think the whole intent of this is so that these people didn't have to come here, right?
Right.
And get it done without asking for town permission, or other than a building permit.
A framed home, 3 stories. How much space does that take?
Builder, Jerry, I couldn't tell you.
I'm not either.
I know that we had this discussion, I have the notes right here on my paper, and I had this discussion a couple of years ago up on this board, that a lot of these new homes are around 25, 26 feet, these nice big 2-story homes in Centennial and stuff like that. So, that just gives you an idea. If that's correct, I'm not sure, Chris, but that's what I was told a couple of years back, and I kept that note here because we have these height discussions often.
So it's 9 foot per floor?
I would assume
What's the
somewhere
floor
in
joist?
the plus
About that,
Yeah, 9 foot for a walking surface.
That's it, yeah.
That's already 27.
If you did a 3-story.
So the 25 is kind of flawed.
That's for three.
Because he's got 3 stories facing the lake here.
Yeah, but
I got the measurements for you right here. So the bottom floor is 6.5. The main living area is only 8 and an inch and an eighth. And same with, which would be the 3rd floor, so I don't have any more room.
I thought we were measuring these homes from roadside, a foot above the foundation. It's a 2-story house is what I'm seeing from the roadside.
Mhm. So, in an R2, for the height, we measure from, essentially we measure the foundation of the house and then up. So 12 feet at the ground, or 12 inches at the ground, and then up. But this here, the legacy lot description literally just says maximum building height, 25 feet. Does not give a determination of where you start measuring at.
So where does this measurement come from on this house? Is it from the ground, or from 12 inches above foundation?
I would have to imagine it's at foundation.
It was requested that the calculation come from 12 inches at top of foundation where we measure for the R2.
Okay, then.
Okay.
I thought he measured 12 inches below the foundation.
Above, I believe, right? 12 inches
No,
above.
top of, 12 inches above the foundation?
Yeah, I think that's what our 2 wording was, but she'll check on that. So I'm still having a hard time figuring out how this isn't gonna work. We're measuring from the 2-story side, not the 3-story side.
We measure from the address side, street side.
Street side.
Right. So, whatever the front of the house, faces the space of Lake Shore Drive.
Or,
So this is probably what you're looking at here, Don. Not here, but here.
Yeah, the front,
We're looking at 2 stories from
Yeah.
the street.
Right.
for the board's reference, R2 is clear where it's measured from here. Maximum height of any building shall not exceed 30 feet at its peak, measured from 12 inches below the top of foundation.
Oh, below the top of the
So you get a foot is your foundation, and then basically 29 feet
Okay.
is the height of the house.
And that was how he requested she measured to the top of the peak from.
Okay. All right, thank you, Ashley. Any more discussion?
I got one question too here, is when it's measured, does it go to the overhang, the peak of the overhang? Or, because if you look at this,
Highest
it's
peak
got
of the
like a
building.
third story, but there's no windows in it. And there's an overhang, I don't know how big that overhang is,
So when,
The highest point?
the highest point, yeah.
It says to peak of, the highest peak,
Peak, okay.
to its peak.
Well, that would be the peak. Okay, answers my question, that's all I have.
So, Mr. Kane, I just want to let you know how this process could play out here. If you are not granted the variance, but, you know, if it gets denied tonight, you have 1 year to come back, you have to come back after 1 year's time, with the same plans, or if you make any serious changes to the plans, you can come back before 1 year and request the variance, so give it another shot. Or you could build the home to meet our zoning ordinance, and you don't have to come back to this board. So if you don't get, if it's not in your favor tonight, you couldn't come back and see us again unless you made, within a year's time, unless you made serious changes to the plans. Just wanted to let you know how this works, if you haven't been told yet.
He's at 1.5 feet, I don't know if he can change it anymore.
Well, I'm just letting them know. I'd love to see you build this. It looks awesome, but I'm sticking with my principles here. And I believe it can be done with a different architectural design. And I don't believe anybody here wants to stop you from building the house there. It's gonna look good, but it's if we're gonna grant it based off if the design, me personally, I'm concerned about what we're gonna be opening up the door for down the road here in this town.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm the first one with this legacy lot, from my understanding, to even try this, so I get that I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
blaze a few trails, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like I said, I was told, and I stated previously, I don't know, I'm not a builder, that I wouldn't be able to do the ductwork. Yeah, we could run it between the joists and some of it in the walls, but primarily, majority of it would have to be in the ceiling, and without that height, I wouldn't be able to house it, so. I was hoping that would be a sufficient enough hardship.
You wouldn't be able to do this house, but you could pick a different style house and meet the requirements.
I did look, I'm not gonna lie to you, I did look, you know, just so I have
Sure.
options, I'm not gonna, lie to you, I did look, but I don't have enough to work with to do, I would love to come to you with 20 different designs, but I don't have very much room to go this way, and don't have very much room to go up, and I only have 2 bedrooms right now, so I need to give them something, a little. I don't have a garage, I don't have anything, I have 2 bedrooms and a basement.
You got the lake there, buddy.
That's not, I love it, and that's exactly why we got there. I'm just trying to adapt a little bit, that's
Yeah,
all,
I got
I totally get it, no, but this is our permanent home, and if it was just our regular vacation home, then you wouldn't even see me here, but we reside here 100% of the time of the year, and this is our future family home, so we would like that family, we just need the room.
Okay. Well, there's no more questions for the petitioner, any more discussion, and this is a board decision, developmental variance, and seeking a motion. Is there a motion to?
Does he have the option to defer again and go back to his architect one more time or
Technically, I guess, yeah, he does.
just in case, I mean, just, I don't know, whatever you're thinking right now, but if you already wore out all those options, then I get it, man.
I did, we tried, we did try. would get a foot and a half, but
Yeah.
that was about it.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the band's request
Okay.
for 26.5 feet,
Need some findings, Jerry.
with findings of fact.
Which findings?
Won't depreciate neighbor's property, it won't be injurious to, let's see, public health, safety, or morals, use of the adjacent property, let's see, use and value of the adjacent property will not be affected. Strict applications of the terms of zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties. This is the hardship section. Findings of fact.
Okay. Do we have a second on that motion? Second call for a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Wilkening, seconded by Mr. Kapora to approve this developmental variance allowing the petitioner to construct an addition on the home with an overall height of 26.5 feet to include the findings of fact. Any questions on the motion?
No, sir.
You understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Jackson?
No.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
No.
Mr. Akubido?
No. And motion dies 3-2. Mr. Austin?
You can solicit another, or you can deem this to be the final denial vote.
Okay. Do we have another motion here?
What happened?
It didn't pass.
What?
There was a 3-2 vote. Or 2-3 vote. 2 in favor and 3 against.
Well, yeah, it didn't pass, so that's over now, right?
Well, Mr. Austin said I can solicit another motion
You
or
can solicit if you want.
Oh, okay. I didn't, all right.
another motion. Second call, another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we deny, this variance request on the findings of fact, reason number 3, that I don't feel that the strict application of the terms, results in practical difficulties with this unique piece of property, including the other findings of fact.
Okay. Got a motion by Mr. Bungie. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bungie, seconded by Mr. Jackson, to deny this developmental variance on the basis that the, item number 3 of the findings of fact cannot be, fulfilled. Roll call?
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
No.
Mr. Kapora?
No.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes?
Mr. Akubido?
Yes, motion carries 3-2. Sir, I appreciate you coming to us. Thank you. Item number 2 of old business, Hanny Zuski.
They just requested a withdrawal. All we need is an acknowledgement of that withdrawal.
Okay, as a matter of record, we'll acknowledge the withdrawal of the petitioner. On the new business, item number 1, Burink 14335 Truman Street, developmental variance, owner petitioner Robert and Kathleen Burink, 1335 Truman Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, the property being in the vicinity of the same. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct an addition onto an existing house with an overall height of no greater than 36 feet, for the side yard setback along the north side of the property to be 4.6 feet, to be consistent with the existing structure, and for an overall lot coverage of 39%. Ms. Abernathy, I believe you had an update on this too?
Yes, the petitioner has requested a deferral to the December public meeting as he will be out of town for the month of November. he has realized he is going to be updating his variance request, which will require re-advertisement as well.
Okay. Mr. Austin, you have anything for us?
Exactly that, that's what Ashley and I talked about when she got that information.
Okay. So he want this deferred until,
December.
December? Okay. Do we,
It was all advertising and notices.
okay. So we want to put that in motion?
You should,
Okay.
so it's clear.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we defer this agenda item to the December public meeting.
Okay. With all advertising and notices to be complete?
With all the notices and advertising to be resubmitted or recompleted. I don't know if recompleted is the word.
What's the legal speak we need?
Do over.
Do over?
Do over.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion to defer until the December 2022 public meeting. Roll call?
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes.
Mr. Pecora?
Yes,
Mr. Bundy?
Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 of new business is, I'm gonna try it, Gebo 14815, Ivy Street Developmental Variance. This developmental variance, owner petitioner James Gebo, 14815 Ivy Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, the property being in the vicinity of the same. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct 6-foot privacy fence on a through lot served by sidewalks. Mr. Austin?
I believe it was in order for the public hearing.
Okay, thank you, sir. Petitioner for this item, please state your name and address for the record.
James Gibo, 14815 Ivy Street.
Okay, I hacked your name up, so you want to give mine a shot now?
No.
Okay, the reason for your request, sir?
We wanted to, put a fence up. We have 2 dogs, and there's no fence currently. And, one is a 5-month-old, or 6-month-old now, the other's a 7-year-old. Maintaining 2 dogs in the yard is, pretty tough on one lead.
Okay. Ashley?
So he's wanting to put up a 6-foot privacy fence on a through lot. That was not one of the things that was contemplated. It would either have to be 50% see-through or 4 foot for privacy, which is why this is in front of you. He is looking to connect his privacy fence to both of his neighbors in same style.
Okay, so this is one of those typical Parish Avenue, Lynn's Way / Centennial style homes. It's got, okay, run-of-the-mill stuff.
2 front yards.
2 front yards. Okay.
So Parish is your backyard?
Yes, sir.
Just so you know, you're not the only person that's ever come in here for this request.
we had addressed this in the new ordinances.
Is it all cleaned up now?
No,
No?
it shouldn't stand here. Because we left it at 4 foot, and it should have been probably raised to 6-foot privacy in the back. So that's why he's here, is because it is 2 foot.
Okay.
And that, consistent with everything else that's along Parish here.
Yes. Okay, do we have any other questions for the petitioner at the moment? Anything? Okay, sir, have a seat for me, please. Are there any remonstrators here for or against this variance? Anyone here for or against the variance? Ms. Abernathy?
Nothing received and nothing online.
Okay, thank you. All right, the public portion is now closed, sir. You can step back up, please. Nothing else for us here, Ms. Abernathy?
No, sir, when I had talked to him, his intention, like I said, is to tie in with the neighbor to the north and neighbor to the south, same style.
Okay.
And your neighbor's existing fence is built along that same line of the utility easement?
Yes.
Pretty run-of-the-mill stuff here.
Yeah, all those fences line up in the same line as that 30-foot easement.
Okay.
Yeah, the only difference is that he wants 6 foot and that's not in the ordinance.
Okay. Any other questions for the petitioner?
No, I don't think so.
Someone like to make a motion here?
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, we approve the developmental variance to allow petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on a through lot served by sidewalks and to tie it into, in parallel with his neighbor's fence from the north and the south, to be the same style and the same color, with the findings of fact.
I'm sorry, can I ask one quick question? Sure. Are you going to have a gate going from inside the yard to basically the outlot for maintenance?
Yes,
Okay, so you'll maintain
yes,
the rest of the easement to the road?
yes.
See,
There'll be a gate on both, there'll be a gate on the front and on the back.
okay, and the question is, you said same style and same color. The fences along Parish are, some are vinyl, some are wood, so,
He said he was gonna match the neighbors, same fence.
yeah, but I don't know if they're both.
The neighbor to the south of us is a 6-foot white vinyl fence.
Yeah.
The neighbor to the north of us is a 6-foot kind of tan colored fence. But they're vinyl privacy fences.
Okay, all right, I'll,
Or
I
this
guess, you know,
Our
What
fence
varies,
is
but-
white.
yeah. Okay, I will, amend what I said. Attach his fence, 6-foot, to approve 6-foot privacy fence on a through lot served by sidewalks, to be attached to the neighbor to the north, the neighbor to the south, and to be the same style fence,
okay,
findings of fact.
I'll second it.
You want to add the word compatible? Will that help the building department in permit issuance?
So it'd be compatible with the neighbors?
Everything Jared said is accurate, right? It's added definition.
Please include compatible in the style of fence description,
I agree,
to
second.
be no more than 6 feet high.
Thank you.
Can you please restate that, Jerry? Compatible? What was that?
No.
Verbiage you? No?
Do over.
You did say compatible with the neighbors, right?
Neighbor to the north and compatible to the neighbor to the south.
Okay, all right,
In styling.
In styling,
in style, okay. And...
no barbed wire. Sorry.
Ready to go.
Did you second that?
Constantine wire.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, motion by Mr. Wilkening, seconded by Mr. Cora to approve this developmental variance allowing the petitioner to construct 6-foot privacy fence on a through lot served by sidewalks, with the contingency that the fence, be attached to the neighbors to the north and south, and it's compatible and same style as those fences as well, to also include the findings of fact. Any questions on the motion?
No.
Sir, you understand?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes.
Mr. Cora?
Yes,
Mr. Bungie?
Yes.
Mr. Gupta?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 3 of new business, Masura 8208 Lakeshore Drive. Owner petitioner Beverly Masura, 8208 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Property being in the vicinity of the same. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct a 4-foot chain link fence in the front yard. Mr. Austin?
Legals are in order for public hearing.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please state your name and address for the
Beverly
record.
Masura, 8208 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake.
Okay, and the reason for your request? The reason for your request?
The fence is up. I didn't know you needed a permit.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
So this one's a bit, it was caught by one of our water maintenance guys who alerted one of our building inspectors. And when the building inspector, they had finished taking down and installing a new chain link fence. They took down, a couple of the pictures from Google in 2019 shows a really old rusted chain link fence in part of the front yard. They removed that, cuts back the brush and installed the new chain link fence. So she came in to put in the permit, and that is when she got referred to me, because you can't have a chain link fence on the front yard.
Okay. Now, when I first saw the packet, I thought somebody did a killer job at photoshopping here because it.
No, those
Then I went,
edges
then I went and looked at it.
actually,
Yeah, okay, I got you. All right, thank you, Ashley. Okay. So this was an all-new fence, all-new posts and everything?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Was this fence placed in the same spot as the old fence too?
Yes.
Yeah?
We left up some of the old fence too,
Okay.
and we didn't add some to our driveway, it was too expensive.
Okay. Board, any questions?
They also fenced in front of the house where the mailbox is, which had no fence previously.
That did have yeah, we got 2 posts for the mail lady to pull up to get
Well,
to the mailbox.
this picture I'm looking at here shows no fence
Oh.
from whenever that was taken, number one.
Well, originally there was a fence there when we bought the house, and the posts were still there. I asked him if we could use the old posts, and he said, no, you want new ones.
so the Google pictures that I found were September 2019. And that's the street view that they had.
Okay.
Okay,
Which showed the existing fence on the one side of your driveway,
Right.
Yes,
but
it
not the
was.
portion in front of your house.
Exactly.
correct,
Yes.
correct. And this fence was a foot higher than what was there, correct?
I do not have the measurements of the old fence because it was down prior to my building inspector getting there to know the old height.
And it's black, what's the coating on it? Is it just
Black
painted?
vinyl,
Black vinyl.
like across the street, only his is a little more expensive, his is bigger too, his is 6 feet. I just assumed,
Yeah, black wrought iron, I believe, right?
yeah, wrought iron, right,
Yeah.
not, yeah. I think he likes looking at the new black vinyl rather than my old rusted one, but I don't know what he likes.
I think he looks out at the lake.
I have lakefront property, I mean, a view of the lake, that's what it is now.
Yeah.
I view it, there's a few more down, who knows?
Well, the other thing that comes to question here is chain link in the front yard, fence in front of the house. You know, there's a lot of things that are at question here.
Mhm.
And the fence is along the property line?
I guess that's a question for Miss Abernathy.
Yes, it is along the property line. If you look at photo 11, page 11, you can see it's set back, and 14, you can see they do have it set back from the road. By how far, without going and measuring or having an inspector measure, I can't tell you the exact distance, but it is along the property line.
When was the fence installed?
2 months ago, something like that.
August 25th is when she came in to put in the permit and fill out the application, because that's when she was told to come in.
Yeah, that was the same day the gentleman stopped, yes.
Is there a reason, ma'am, why you have the fence in the front yard? Do you have a problem
Well,
with
we're
pedestrians?
80-year-old, my husband and I, and we like sitting out in front. If you know the traffic on Lake Shore Drive, it's like a racetrack. I felt safer with it. We have chairs out there and a table in the front yard.
Okay,
I just feel safer,
okay,
if someone don't kill me.
yeah, all right.
My time is limited here on this earth.
We all are, though.
Yeah, true, true.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions for the petitioner right at the moment? Nothing? Okay. A quick seat, ma'am, if you don't mind. Is there anyone out there for or against this variance? Any remonstrators out there for or against this variance? Abernathy, do you have anything?
I received nothing and no one on mine.
Nothing on that. Okay, all right. The public portion's now closed. All right, ma'am, you can come back up. I shouldn't have made you go far. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
Hey, do you have anything else for us, Ashley?
No, sir, just what I've provided is
Okay.
the timeline.
I think that this would have been maybe different in some of our minds had this old fence been there and this petition been brought to us, you know, as opposed to it done after the fact. It's nothing you can do about it now, but, definitely an improvement to what they had there, but, of course, it's not allowed per our zoning ordinance.
How long have you owned the property?
Probably 10 years. We rented it.
Okay.
We downsized to move in it ourselves. It's cheaper to live there. And no stairs, my husband can't walk upstairs. One level.
And when you bought the property, the original fence in the condition that that turned into, it never been, improved or updated in your
No,
10 years there?
no. What we took down was all rusted. I think I gave you pictures.
There is a picture.
Yeah.
So if this wasn't allowed, what would, actually, let me back up, what is the zoning ordinance for, if she wanted a fence in the front yard, what could she do per our zoning ordinance?
3 foot and decorative in nature.
3 foot high and decorative in nature, and the setback,
We're working on that.
yeah? Okay.
Does it have to be that 50% see-through though?
So with decorative fences being 3 foot high, and this is having talked with my engineer, anything under 3.5 feet, you're preserving your vision triangle because most cars are, when you're in a car driving, your vision triangle is about 3.5 feet high. So anything over 3.5 feet high, then you get into potentially blocking your vision triangle for pedestrian traffic or vehicular traffic. So at that 3 foot, you're not blocking that pedestrian view. In the ordinance with the update, the only thing they put in was decorative fence. So currently with decorative fences, we are requesting a design being turned in with the decorative fence to determine if it is decorative in nature to be installed in the front yard.
Okay. Thank you, Ashley.
Should a decorative fence be able to enclose something, or should it just be a decorative fence, you know, 2 or 3 sections in the yard with flowers by it or something, or does it have to, can it enclose something?
Zoning ordinance would allow it to enclose as long as it's not impeding the vision triangle and meets the other criteria, and for frontage fences, not chain link. Can only chain link.
So long as it classifies as a decorative fence, you can enclose something.
Yeah.
Could it be past the front of the house?
Yeah, if for it to be in the front yard, yes, it can, but it would have to meet that decorative 3-foot fence guideline.
Does chain link fall under decorative?
Chain link would not be allowed in the front yard, so anything on the frontage of, or it would not be allowed on a frontage street. I believe we encountered this with Mr. Bowman's property earlier this year. He and/or she would be able to do it on the sides, but not the front. So, yes, as long as it meets the rest of those criteria.
Yeah, the big problem we had with Mr. Bowman's was, well, I had personally, was the setback. There was nothing there. At the time, I could have gotten over the fact that it was chain link, especially if it were to be a coated chain link fence, but, you know, we were talking about keeping views open there and stuff like that, so.
No, the problem here is that this is not decorative, it's chain link, it's 4 foot high, and it's installed.
Right.
But, I mean, but it's a replacement of an existing non-conforming chain link fence.
So unfortunately, in the town, when you remove something, it's as if it never existed. So if you take down your garage and you try and rebuild it, that garage never existed, pool, fence, shed. If it's legal non-conforming and you take it down, it's as if it never existed.
But if you apply for a permit before it's taken down, it's still the same premise?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Or she winds up, they wind up in front of us with the request, but it's prior to installation. Granted, she didn't know that, but that's, really not an excuse.
Correct.
It's a tough situation.
It is.
I'd have a tendency to consider black coated woven material like this as leaning on the decorative side.
Put some flowers in it.
I mean, certainly what's across the street in this one picture is not decorative.
How about poison ivy?
No, keep that away from me.
Me too. Okay, do you have anything else to add, ma'am?
I don't know what else to add. I think it looks 100% better than what was up there,
Oh, I agree.
100%.
I agree, but this
If I was the guy
ordinance
across
says
the
that-
street, he'd be happy.
Pardon?
The guy across the street should be happy, not looking at my rusty old fence.
Yeah, well, everybody should be able to drive
That's
faster.
true, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I agree it looks better, but it's
Yeah.
the ordinances that we have to follow, you know?
I didn't know about that ordinance.
Yes.
Any other questions for the petitioner? You wouldn't be willing to modify anything with this fence to get it in compliance, would you?
That would be more money, we're running out of money. That's why we downsized, I'll be honest with you. I'm 80 and he's 81, but he's had back surgery, so we're trying to cut our expenses and make it look nice.
Okay.
Does any of this fence go behind your house? You said you weren't getting any more.
Any more what?
You said you only got so much fence.
Oh, the
You-
side by the empty prairie, all that vacant property,
Yeah,
we
On the
didn't
west
touch
side.
that. We didn't touch that.
that's all fence though, old fence?
Same fencing.
So if you look on page 3 of her petition, the highlighting is faint, but she did highlight in yellow where all the fence went. It goes to the top of the house, around to the front, across, stops at the driveway, goes across the driveway, and then back up.
Goes to the front of the garage, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how many, so there's a lot of 4-foot fence that would have to be removed if it was become 3-foot fence?
No, the only thing she put up is right across the front.
Right by the mailbox.
Yeah,
little
in
strip
front of the
across.
mailbox and, across, along Lakeshore Drive, and up the driveway a little bit. And I think there's another piece going up the driveway by the house,
On
right?
both sides.
Yeah, and then a piece in front of the house.
So how many feet is that? 40, 90,
There's
100.
quite a bit of it there.
Yeah, 200.
That's why we didn't have, some of it used to go down the driveway, and we told, we didn't have that anymore. We said, no, we don't need it down the
The
driveway.
frontage there is 93 feet, and,
Yeah, there's almost 250 feet of fence there.
well, not the new fence, wouldn't be that much, would it?
I'm looking at what's yellow here.
Yeah, this is getting put in
But it's not all.
on the west side.
Oh, nothing on the west side?
No, just across the front and
And
down the driveway, what,
And then,
So you get
10
a
foot
hundred,
down the driveway?
There's
I mean,
approximately
those two little
$3,000
sides,
of fence.
two little,
Pardon?
There's approximately $3,000 of fence. That's what's written in the petition.
that's why we didn't have any more done. Coming down the driveway or the other side where it's all trees and empty, I don't know who owns that.
So everything on the streets, they have a compliance piece then, right?
Everything in the front yard, which is pretty much everything that they have installed. So from the house to the street and
Yeah.
across.
So we wouldn't be looking at this any differently if she had come in for a permit with the existing fence up and requesting to replace the fence?
At that point in time, then yes, you would be looking at letting her take down the old existing fence and installing a new fence to take away the old rusted and make it safer, look nicer.
That's the same size.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm just thinking out loud, it has no bearing on the decision being made here, or the findings of fact or procedure here, but, you know, when we have something like this where it's an eyesore, which it was before, and then now we kind of stymie somebody from replacing it to improve it, now they've got to jump through the hoops to do this, you know, but it is what it is, I guess.
Who maintains your yard? Who cuts the grass and,
I cut the front and the back, and a big, long, that goes to the next street, I pay a young guy to cut that.
so he would take care of any growths along that fence line?
Oh, yeah,
He would.
he
Or
would
you
or
would,
me,
somebody.
yeah.
Yeah, somebody would, so you keep down the way it looks
I
now.
do now, yes,
Yeah.
I cut the grass, yeah.
who was your installer? Who'd you get the?
He was a friend of the family,
Okay.
yeah.
And he didn't instruct you that a building permit may?
No, he just said call 811, which the guy came out and to mark off the street for the water and stuff. And he was talking with my husband. You'd think he would say, you know, you guys do have a permit, right? Nothing. But he came back to you right away. He let you guys know what we were doing, and I thought, why didn't he bring that up to us? But that's here nor there.
Tough decisions we make up here.
Is there a reason this cannot be considered a legal non-conforming change? Sounds like, and the pictures reflect the fence before it was replaced, the fence after it was replaced. There's clear changeover from old to new, repair to modern. Probably that fence was there 50 years, maybe less, maybe more, but a long time. And if it were coming apart, falling down, deteriorating, could be construed as a structure that needs and bears replacing, and that this replacement, or this current fence that you are considering, took care of that remediation, if you will. Such that it would only get a permit application and a fee for that, inspection fee, and call it a day. Kind of a simplified version of telling you, you have one of two decisions to make, and those two decisions are completely opposite. One will preserve legacy, and another will be violative, depending upon how a motion and action goes here. That will support our ordinance, but not support rehab, if you will, or mediation, or restoration.
How do we get to those ends? Because my thought is in line with yours, Dave, is, it's like a direct replacement of a dilapidated fence. It was an eyesore, and like, if it was me and I've got all this yard captured by fence and I've got an eyesore, well, I gotta make a decision whether I wanna fix the eyesore or I wanna lose my protected front yard. And it's unfortunate people have to make these decisions, but how do we get to those ends to make sure that, and even in this instance tonight, you're asking if this is legal non-conforming. I don't have that answer, but
Well, I think the facts are in evidence that you can construe it to be such, and you have equity jurisdiction. You're an administrative body with equity jurisdiction. You're figuring out solutions all night on an application, or denying and disagreeing and adjudicating the applications before you. No different on this one. So you have old fence. You have folks who want to preserve the value of their property and protect themselves while they use their property. They replaced the fence, they didn't come in and get an application, should have, a permit, I'm sorry, but based upon application. The fence itself isn't brain surgery, so it's easily able to be documented as to what was, what is, kind of the path. And you could conclude, to go to your question or your comment directly, you can conclude as a body, this is what we're here for.
Would the, old fence be legal non-conforming, is that what you said?
It sounds to me that, and why I suggested 50 years, is because of the age of the old zoning ordinance, 496. And that our change just happened in 1402.
So then we
Nothing
could,
changed about that part of the ordinance, which is kind of interesting also, as kind of a nuance to breaking this down to get to maybe a result, maybe not. So we've had these provisions here for a long time. That fence, I believe, has been here a long time.
Yeah,
It was here before you.
yes.
If you've only been here 10 years, that fence, heck, that was its first epic, versus many epics. So you've got a fact pattern you can work with if you decide and make a record of it that you can.
so basically, it could be a legal non-conforming fence that needed to be repaired and or replaced for safety of the senior residents living in the house there, and protection of the front yard from stray vehicles or cars or something of that nature.
From a busy thoroughfare.
Busy thoroughfare.
Busy thoroughfare road system.
Mr. Wilken, you have something?
Based on this last bit of discussion, I would certainly consider this a existing non-conforming piece of property and a fence. The fence has been there as long as I can remember. I've been around here a little longer than 10 years, and I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, now, I just want to clarify, Mr.
In
Austin?
contrast, and your point just now, Jerry, is salient to the determination. That is, this fence was dilapidated and deteriorated and was here, versus the next fact pattern that comes before you, where folks didn't have a fence, and they came in after putting the fence up that wasn't there. That's a different fact pattern, and you can distinguish compliance with your ordinance 1402 by that, very easily. They're two different things.
We're not overstepping our bounds here?
You are not.
Okay.
So you got a motion.
So a motion would be required?
It would.
Okay.
And if you give it a little bit of record making, that'll help understand, that'll help the building department. There will need, ma'am, to be a permit applied for, an inspection made. Those are requirements of the town also, even if it's after the fact.
We have a permit on file if this motion is approved.
Okay.
Are you clear, Mr. Wilkeny, on what's going on? Clear as?
Way clear.
Yeah, okay, well,
Way clear.
I'm entertaining a motion on this matter.
Way clear, huh?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the developmental variance to allow the petitioner to construct a 4-foot chain link fence in the front yard, being already completed, being not vinyl coated woven metal material, and with the findings of fact being that it's a replacement for an old fence, existing non-conforming nature. That's my motion.
Okay.
The findings here that were submitted reflect that, the good findings.
They are?
Yeah, whoever did the findings here they're good.
Okay, do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Wilkening, seconded by Mr. Kapora to approve this developmental variance allowing the petitioner to construct a 4-foot chain link fence in the front yard, vinyl coated woven metal material of nature, include the findings, namely that this fence is a replacement for an existing non-conforming fence. Questions on the motion?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you understand everything?
I think so, is it approved?
Well, not yet, but there's a motion to approve. You understand the contingency? Okay,
I think so.
all right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Bungey?
Yes.
Mr. Gupta?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. You're approved and.
Thank you.
Get
Thank
the
you
bill
all.
department. No, thank you.
Oh, I didn't react.
Item number 4 of new business is McCants, 14935 Ivy Street. Owner petitioner Marty McCants of 14935 Ivy Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, the property being in the vicinity of the same. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct 6-foot privacy fence on a through lot served by sidewalks along the property line off of Parish Avenue. Mr. Austin?
Legal's in order.
Thank you, sir. Petitioner, hi, please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Marty McCants, 14935 Ivy Street, Cedar Lake.
Okay, Mr. McCants, and the reasoning for your request.
Pretty much identical to the gentleman that was here earlier. I think he's just a few houses down. I also have 2 dogs, recently purchased a house. Would like to construct a fence in the backyard along the same general line as the rest of the houses on that street. I think I counted 13 houses between 149 and 151, and 9 already have fences.
Okay.
Of various styles and designs, construction, wood, vinyl, color.
All right. Ms. Abernathy, do you have anything to add?
It's, like you said, similar to item number 2. The only difference is his neighbor to the north does not currently have a fence. He will be tying in with his neighbor to the south.
Okay. All right. Any questions here for the petitioner, any discussion?
It's exactly like the other one, and it's all along Parish the same way, so we know, we've seen these.
Well, but are you building over the utility easement?
It'll be just, I guess that's to the west of where the easement is. It runs just.
Be in line with the other fences there.
It's, yeah, right.
To your point, I'll cut across the drainage easement,
Okay,
Mr. Bungey.
all right,
If you look on GIS, his neighbor to the south did go over the easement.
okay, all right. Now, if that fence has to be moved or replaced, that would be on your nickel again.
Right.
If that utility easement ever had to get, not saying it ever will,
Right.
but.
Just out of curiosity.
It's very possible, though.
Yeah, it's,
Lynn's Way had that happen to it.
would that require coming back for a permit to,
A
kind of
reconstruction?
similar to the lady before?
I wouldn't think so, because if this board would approve it, you have the approval to have that fence, so, that's a good conjectural question, but I wouldn't think you would. You've already been approved for it, you've already been given
If the town or
permission.
utility either requested you to remove it and you did not, and we had to remove it for you, you would be allowed to put it back in, yeah.
Okay, hopefully that.
But if you were to take it out and then leave it abandoned for a while and try to come back and put the
Right.
fence back in, then you're back in front of the board.
Understood.
It would end up being full inspections and full documentation of all of that, so.
Right.
Any other questions for the petitioner at the moment?
Are most of the fences in there vinyl or are there wood privacy?
It's a pretty good mix,
Okay.
along, just between those two streets, the 151 and 149. The one right beside me is vinyl. I think the one beside them is vinyl, then there's several wood. One of them's just a natural wood, one's kind of a red
Okay.
color. Yeah. It's pretty big mix.
All right, so we're gonna get the remonstrators, and call up, any remonstrators here for or against the variance? Anyone here for or against? Ms. Abernathy, anything online?
Nothing online and nothing with me.
Okay, public portion is now closed. I think that, we're all in agreement that this is, a cookie cutter type Lynn's Way property.
Correct.
So, there aren't any other questions for the petitioner, I'm entertaining a motion. Mr. Wilkening?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve this developmental variance, allow petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on the through lot served by sidewalks along the property line off of Parish Avenue, with the findings of fact, to include the drawing with the green highlight as the exhibit.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Wilkening, seconded by Mr. Capora to approve this developmental variance allowing the petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on a through lot served by sidewalks along the property line off of Parish Avenue, to include the drawing with the green highlight as an exhibit, and also to include the findings of fact. Any questions on the motion? Sir, you understand the motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes.
Mr. Cupido?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Item number 5 of new business, Spray 109 Broadway, developmental variance, owner petitioner Donald Frey, 332 East 125th Place, Crown Point, Indiana, the property being in the vicinity of 109 Broadway. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to have a lot size of 6,250 square feet, a front yard setback of 18.3 feet, and a side yard setback of 2 feet on an existing lot with an existing structure. Mr. Austin?
I don't have a file on this, and I don't know what we're doing here on this, so.
So I can answer that, and it should be in the iPod, whatever, the thing in front of you, the last very item on the left, number 5. The town has requested, that Mr. Frey, go through a one-lot subdivision process to clean up the property that he's already been in front of this board for, because it technically has 2 addresses, because that street there has been called 2 different things. So we are going through the process of trying to correct the addresses of the street, have one side be one address, have one side be the other, so that way emergency services, post office, et cetera, everyone that goes off of addressing can properly get to the place they're trying to go. Because he's going through that one-lot subdivision, he's not changing anything on the building. There are nonconformities that exist that are now triggered because he's going through the one-lot subdivision process that he has to get BZA approval for. So these will work in tandem, and likewise, John, you probably remember he did not show up to the Plan Commission meeting, work session, where this was first heard. But this is something that he's working with the town on because it's something the town has requested for cleaning up historic Cedar Lake issues.
Okay. Now, Mr. Austin with the legals.
I'll get them from Ashley, and I will drop a note to the file here about the status of those.
So you recommend if there's any approval here tonight, it's
If there's
contingent?
any action here tonight, all subject, should all be subject to considered subject to the legal being in order.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it does not appear we have a petitioner here for this item. And I guess I'll, yes?
Chris, do we have a chicken and egg thing going on here? Do we need to, does he need to get something, is something more pressing and everything dependent upon that versus?
No, the egg has already come, now we're chasing the chicken. So this is a minor ministerial, I wish it could have all been done at one time when he was coming for the initial use variance, but that did not happen. So we are now chasing the chicken, trying to get the addressing cleaned up.
Oh, I apologize.
Are there-
It's confusing based upon what I saw on my record tonight, and that, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other properties here that are gonna suffer the same headaches?
I believe, if I remember correctly, talking to Tim, we've cleaned up the east side of the street. This will be the last of the east side of the street. I believe there's still one address on the west side that may need to be cleaned up.
Okay, so everything's cleaned up behind this property also along Parish? The trustee's office, Kubiak Properties,
Yeah, like,
all that stuff's all cleaned up?
I don't know, easement.
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, I'm just curious how many.
Ms.
I can
Abney?
answer that one, actually.
Oh,
And so doing
Let's
some
hear
homework,
it, let's hear it.
Kubiak Properties is a lot of record. It is a one-lot subdivision. The trustee's office is currently a meets about, because they have this parcel, and that parcel is all the trustee's office, and it's a meets about parcel.
So the new restaurant's good?
I think that one, the way the legal description reads, is still a meets about for
Okay.
the El Jimador.
I don't
Okay.
believe we have an addressing issue with that.
No, we don't have an
Okay.
addressing issue with that one, so.
Okay.
That one is just 111 Broadway.
Sorry for the distraction.
We need a clarification, it's appreciated, Jerry. Well, we don't have a petitioner here for this item, is there any, is it wise to proceed without a petitioner? Do we need a petitioner here for this item? What's going on?
This may be one of the most examined areas of this town that was ever examined. Probably want to make certain you have a petitioner, you have complete documentation, that your current staff can be with their arms around this. When I say to you, easements, alleys, water lines, small one-lot subdivision plats next to each other, ingress, egress issues, public monies are spent on improving Broadway for ingress and egress from the old to the new, signage issues, traffic direction issues. Did I miss anything?
Alley.
Everything was in that stew. And most of it's cleaned up. People were diligent enough over a long period of time to stay with it, but complex piece of property.
Okay. Is there any chance, that you've been in talks with the petitioner, is there any chance of them being here next month?
He said if a deferral was given, that he could be here next month, yes.
Okay. Well, I think we need to go.
Does he have to request a deferral?
I don't think he does he, Mr. Austin?
Well, there's a kind of a cloudy area most of the time if asked for, but he isn't here, so.
It did,
Defer, notice to appear, and request he be here next month.
Well, what more information do we need from them on this?
I don't know, I haven't heard the petitioner speak, I don't know.
Okay. Gotcha.
it did get deferred at the planning commission. It is going through that process as well. I went to look for the
Yeah, but
file,
we-
so I wasn't
we-
sure if that was dated.
Okay.
Yeah, but we deferred it because of him coming here, right?
You also was present last week.
Yeah, he also was not at the work session, so it was
Yeah,
deferred because
That's
of
true.
tradition of
That's true.
having everyone at the work session. The petition.
Well, then I'll make a motion, we defer this until next month.
I'll
And
second
Send a notice to the applicant that, to attend this meeting.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Caporro, seconded by Mr. Wilkening to defer this matter to the November 2022 meeting with a notice sent to the petitioner with the requirement of attending that meeting. Roll call?
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes.
Mr. Caporro?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes.
Mr. Guzzo?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Public comment? Mr. Welkening?
You know, a long time ago, we got into situations with lot sizes, with the rear yard setback and all those kinds of things, so the dimensions got changed. 80 by 100 now works out better than, 70 by 110, or whatever it was, with the help of the building department.
With the R2 zoning
Yes.
a while ago?
I think we're gonna run into the same problem with these legacy lots. These people cannot go laterally, they have to go up. I'm starting to smell funny.
Yeah.
I think especially around the lake, it seems to attract people with money, and people with money like big houses, I've been told, I wouldn't know. And I imagine that, if we have Millionaires Row down where a Schilling and a Lawton lives, we'll probably see houses that far exceed 25 feet in height, or at least requests that are out.
Well, so my thought on that is when this was vetted by the Plan Commission, there was concern for lake views, okay? So I believe you guys made some kind of compromise here with side yard setbacks, but didn't want to get excessive with the height, so.
Well, there was an appeal regarding the height for the views.
Mm-hmm.
But as Ashley shared with us not too long ago, when you're in the car, you really can't see much over 4 feet anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This home was not gonna block anybody's view. It was gonna, it wasn't gonna take away, and the house next to it was, of significance. I understand why the vote went the way it did, but this is what we're gonna start seeing more of, these kind of things. And yes, I want my design is not particularly hardship.
Right.
I get that too.
And we
I
also.
don't know where all these lines are gonna be able to intersect.
And we also have to be careful of our own master plan too, which in reading it, there's lakefront properties mentioned several times regarding density and views and runoff.
But again, this home, it was not gonna have a density issue because it was already a legacy lot and he only had so much space. He was just trying to go up and there was no hindrance of view, not like, perhaps the neighborhood on the point here to the north, where you are blocking people's view, which we've heard many of the ministries, for example. A long time ago, I remember a guy here, he said, "This is what I see now. What's on the lake, this is what I see now, this is what I'm gonna see." Well, we're gonna enclose the deck. Remember that?
The porch, porch is porch.
Yep, we're gonna close that, and they were gonna depreciate the guys, what view you had of the lake by probably 50%.
Right.
And it was a contentious subject. And we were the only ones here on behalf of the petitioner, because the people who wanted to do it were.
Well, as Mr. Cannon said, he was kind of the test subject here tonight. This is the first one we've seen, so maybe it's gonna be the topic of discussion. Yeah.
Well, it also, he's got 50-foot of frontage along Lakeshore Drive, but, one of the things that I did was, but the width of his lot, building area-wise, is only like 42, 43 feet. So, it's gonna be very difficult to put, really, anything other than the size of pretty much the existing structure that he has now.
Footprint.
Right, without a variance, even though it is a legacy lot. So
We've had those same dialogues and discussions about parcels in Cedar Point Park. Same thing,
Well, that's what I'm referring to, the neighborhood to the north here,
okay,
because of the people not on the street.
correct. And footprint was
Yeah,
ultimately
Had to
what
be-
was
had-
provided on,
yeah.
just because
Yes.
of the area.
Okay, well, it's gonna be a topic of discussion, I guess, in the future again, so.
Well, I think perhaps, we all need to think about, these bits and pieces.
Yeah.
'Cause that guy had it dialed down to a foot and a half. And he had no view issues, no neighbors complaining, he had nothing.
Actually, I had two neighbors that were here that were in favor of
Yeah.
the house,
Yep.
last month.
Okay, I'm done, sorry.
Don't be sorry, that's what we're here for, Gary. Any other public comment? Anything else? Nothing online, Ms. Abernathy?
No, sir?
Okay. Wish everyone a happy Halloween, and this meeting is adjourned at 7:35.